Hudson Productions presents the massive ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Okay, I've been talking about this stuff for a little while. As I said, this is an absolute guaranteed scientific fact that these are the ways that bacteria and viruses and molds and algae and various things like that can travel. Okay, this is an absolute guarantee that this exists, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things that each one by themselves can create a mutation. So if you take any two, and let's add in one other thing here: moisture and temperature rising. And I don't think I have the SO2. I'm talking about the SO2, which is the acidity-alkaline balance of the moisture. But that also affects not only the mutation, but the breeding rate of viruses, bacteria, molds, spores of algae and stuff like that. Okay. The news report on weather.com this morning was about a young boy who apparently got sick a year ago. Yeah, got sick a year ago. And it took the doctors an entire year to identify what the virus was that was in him. Okay, and if I recall right, it was by a mosquito bite. Okay, they ID'd the virus when they realized it was a virus that they already had ID'd 50 years behind it. Yeah, 50 years ago they discovered it in Florida, which is where this kid goes. What's Florida? It's a retirement state. It's also Disney World, isn't it? Lots of visitors, man. Let's go to Miami, Daytona, Palm Beach, spring breaks, and you name it, all kinds of stuff, right? So there's a lot of tourism in Florida. Okay, so you have this part right here absolutely nailed down. Okay, and it took them a year to identify something they already know. What's going to happen when this stuff mixes in? And like I say, keep in mind, you take any of these 7 items, and in Florida it's going to make one mix, in California it's going to make another mix, and in Alaska or New England it's going to make another mix, and the mutation is not going to be the same beastie in each one, is it? No. How many times does the United States government scream, everybody get flu shots? Oh, we guessed wrong. That flu shot wasn't really working. You need to go and see your doctors because it's influenza B, not influenza A. Yeah, they can't predict which one it's going to be when they're just simply building an immunity, a vaccine for a whole little narrow quadrant of one virus, or 1 or 2 variations of a virus. Whether or not vaccines and stuff are safe, whether or not they're dumping any other leads and mercury and all that, doesn't even matter, does it? They simply cannot get the vaccine correct. And they are knowing a year in advance what they're going to produce, and they are producing it, trying to produce enough for, to hand out to most of the country. Okay? So here you have all of this. Here you have all of the variations of travel. You have no guarantee of what this is going to show you. You have the average cycle. And, like I would say, it takes them at least 6 months. It took them a year to find a known virus. So they couldn't even recognize the virus out of their own files. So what's going to happen when you have, and think about it, you got a whole planet that is contaminated with all of this. An entire planet. I'm being polite and saying, hey, let's just, for easy numbers, say 1 million viruses, 1 million bacteria, 1 million molds and stuff, okay? over an entire planet where every corner is going to be different because of wind current, water current, land current, who dumps what where, you know, what happens and how it gets there, okay? You don't have any way to control or even contain what is going to cause mutations. You do not do anything here, and the government is screaming, don't listen! It's like the guy on the Weather Channel screaming that all these people, all these weather, you know, reporters on YouTube, the independent reporters should just shut up. You know, they're running around talking about how massive storms are and how much trouble there's going to be and all this. You know, they're using, you know, the GPS models and Ventusky and all this kind of stuff. They should just shut up. They're not professionals. Oops. This morning I was watching one of those guys who had literally got on the air about a week ago and mentioned that, you know, all these people should shut up and they should stop people should stop following and listening to him because it just makes them so mad. And he's warning that, oh, there's not going to be a hurricane, there's not going to be anything to worry about. Southern Texas has 7 counties underwater, literally flooded, states of emergency. They have potholes, you know, that are literally swallowing up, you know, lots of cars, big chunks, huge, you know, 50, 60, 70 foot wide holes, potholes. You have these same potholes up in Michigan. You had this morning a derailment of an oil, right here, oil train, okay? And it happened as it was crossing over some tracks in an area directly, I mean, you look at the footage, the floodwaters are pouring past this. There's no containment, because it's a flood. There's another storm coming down on it, and you don't really know what's in those train car container, you know, oil container cars, because, you know, it's just, you know, we'll tell you, oh, it's this or that, and it doesn't, I'm not there. I can't tell you it was crude oil. I can't tell you it was, you know, ethyl alcohol, okay, to put it on another end of it, okay? I'm not there. All I know is I saw a bunch of, you know, train cars in the water, nobody able to get around or near it, okay? There is obviously leakage happening. It's in Iowa, which means, it was, I believe they said northwestern Iowa. So it is in the headwaters of your Mississippi River, which means it's going to flow all the way to New Orleans before it stops. Okay? So you have, you know, you have all of these problems. And, you know, and the guys, they don't think it's flood related that happened. When you have potholes, sewer lines and freshwater lines both can be broken. I'm not guaranteeing anything, folks. You know, I mean, looking at one of the Texas shots, it was quite obvious that, you know, there's a big drain pipe and there's some kind of water pipe. And I've done construction and worked construction, and I've been around it since I was a little kid. I had my abusive stepdaddy was a plan checker for Los Angeles County engineers. Okay, so I've been out on job sites. I've worked in the construction field. I've built homes. I've remodeled homes. I've run apartments for years and all that. I know exactly what I'm looking at. Okay, and they're trying to tell you that you don't have to worry about any of this kind of stuff. You look at the footage. People are walking around bare skin in floodwaters. Little kids playing in floodwaters. Moms and dads laughing as they're pulling out their canoes or their rafts and taking their kids, and their kids are splashing in the water. You have no way of knowing. Nobody's running around with a huge laboratory in their back pocket to test that water to see if anything's there. Texas is an oil industry state, okay? Which means it is ripe for all of this pollution because they own the state. That's why it's a Republican state, because it's an oil production state, okay? They do not care about human rights. They care about profits, okay? You now have floods going through all of those places. Houston, Galveston, These are major oil shipping and oil refinery ports. Okay. So yeah, it's all coming downstream at you. It's all this, and they're trying to tell you, oh, don't listen to anybody. We're the government. We're the only ones that don't tell fake news. There's nothing wrong in your world. Pittsburgh's flooded. Richmond floods. Washington's flooded. Florida's flooded. Georgia's flooded. Tennessee. I can't even run down the list because I'd have to name every state from the Rockies to the Atlantic Ocean, from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico. Right? Yeah. So, like I said, you got 7 things that each one by themselves can cause a mutation. You have, and there's no containment of it, you have the standard processes by scientific means that viruses and bacteria move around. And you have a government telling you, shh. Let me ask you something. If you were invited to go see the demolitions, like Las Vegas did the big demolition, for New Year's Eve a while back, of one of the old casinos. Are you going to freak out by watching that building be collapsed? Or are you going to freak out if you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, 2 or 3 or 4 buildings just get blown to bits, or your engine of your car blows up and boom, I mean, I've dropped valves in engines as I'm driving. I know. Okay, it's a bit disconcerting when you get a flat tire or something like that, and when your engine blows up and you're staring at the big huge trail of smoke like a race car behind you. Yeah, you just killed your engine. Okay. And you are going to panic in that case. You're not going to panic if you know that something's about to happen. So, why is the government telling you not to give any concern about what you're doing and not warning anybody anymore about trying to not come into too much contact with all these floodwaters? Because they don't know what to do. There's too much of it. And they are so used to lying to you and so used to you not thinking. Then yeah, you're just out and in it, and they're going to keep their mouths shut and watch the people drop like flies. So, yeah. The next time somebody tells you don't think, it's all fake news, remember what I'm saying. If you sit down and you read the fake news, and you read that other stuff that isn't labeled good or bad, and you read what the government puts out, and you draw your own conclusions, you are thinking. You have a chance to prove me wrong, which is fine, or you have the chance to tell somebody like, that arrogant Trumpo to shut his mouth. His golf course is falling into a sinkhole. His properties are falling into a sinkhole. There's a sinkhole at the White House. Okay? And he's talking about, oh, don't worry about anything. I'm going to spend $20 billion on a war, and I'm going to blow up North Korea, and I'm going to blow up Iran just to prove that I'm the greatest president ever. Oh, and I'm going to start a multi-billion-dollar, space military people. Yeah. He's got more fantasy between his mouth and his hands than anything on this sheet will ever produce. So, think for yourselves. Occupy ISS, International Space Station, when survival counts.